Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to give our first impressions of Atlantis Rising.
Yes, second edition.
Second edition.
Yes.
I don't know anything about the first edition.
Doesn't have Vincent to trade artwork. I don't think.
No. Okay. Well, this one was one that pretty much all I knew about it was that Z. Garcia really liked it, and
top 10 of all time.
Sort of replaced Pandemic for him, or kind of, at least for a while, I think he liked it more than Pandemic.
He might have, I'm not sure.
Kind of reminded of him. Kind of was right there.
Yep.
As I've become more of a fan of cooperative games, I think I was excited about trying this one out and giving it more of a try. I wasn't sure if it was maybe going to be a little more complex possibly than Pandemic, but still not be too complex where it starts getting kind of difficult to know what's going on. But yeah, I guess what were your thoughts, since I would say you were maybe a little more excited?
Yeah, I was more excited for sure. Even though we've always kind of liked Z. Garcia games, or I've been a fan of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we hadn't really gotten into cooperative games until just the last maybe year to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So before that, I wasn't overly interested in this, other than just kind of a base little bit of interest, just because it was so highly rated by Z. Garcia. But yeah, once we did start getting into them, and especially playing Pandemic and really loving that, and hearing this one compared to that with kind of just the overall feel of it, that definitely ramped up the interest quite a bit to where I was like, okay, this one is definitely going to be entering the collection in the next couple of years, for sure, in my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite excited to get this one.
Oh boy.
So when we saw it on sale for Nerds Day, I was definitely giving you a little nudge of add this one to the cart. Don't know if I ended up paying you for that one or not. Who knows?
But it did get added to the cart.
It did get added to the cart and the collection.
Yeah, I think that was one. They had hints for each of them, and I think we were pretty sure that this one was going to be one of them, based on that hint, and it ended up being one. So yeah, we thought that was a good time to get that one, and then we unboxed it. It's been a while since we got it. We unboxed it, and I would say that because honestly, I didn't know much about it outside of it kind of being one of those games like a Pandemic or like a Forbidden Island or something where you're kind of trying to, as the game tries to beat you down, you're trying to, complete an objective and get that. So I had that basis. But then we unboxed it. You can check out our unboxing video. It should be released about the same time as this. So if you want to get a better look at some of the stuff in the game, definitely check that out. But when I did that, I was like, oh boy, this is a little more intimidating. Just because like each of I guess it makes sense because I do remember, I think, watching at least part of a gameplay that they did a gameplay on this one, right?
I think so.
So I watched part of it, so I guess I hadn't really thought about it in my head, but for some reason I was thinking kind of each of these peninsulas was kind of one tile, but that obviously doesn't make sense. But then I'm getting all these tiles, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just going to be a pain and a mess to set up. And then there was a ton of these tiles, I believe. So then I was all of a sudden like, okay, well, is this one a bunch tougher than Pandemic to kind of get put or set to the table? Just in general with all the stuff in it. I was wondering if in general the game was going to be tougher, and I was just like, oh, is this going to be as easy to get to the table because just got all these pieces that are a little more difficult to get set up.
I think everything other than the board is pretty equal with Pandemic, like setting up a deck. There's a little bit of that in this game, just kind of choosing your difficulty, similar to Pandemic. But yeah, definitely the board versus just unfolding a map. You have, 6 in each of these 6, so 36 tiles that aren't just randomly placed. They all have to connect.
Right.
And if you want the artwork to match up, each of them has to actually go in a specific spot so that the artwork will match going from tile to tile, which I decided to do this time. I'm the one who ended up setting this up, and it was quite a bit of work. So definitely going to be keeping all the pieces separate, which luckily one of us was nice enough to do. It was in the box already sorted with the different peninsulas, but yeah, it's quite a bit of setup, especially because they kind of are smaller, where they all join together, and then they jut out and then go smaller again, so it's a little confusing as to which one to grab first sometimes, and it's a bit of work, I will say.
It's a bit of work, so. Okay, but yeah, so then you ended up learning the game for us.
Yep, it was.
And taught it.
With the help of Rodney Smith and the Watch It Played How to Play video, which was fantastic, and didn't even actually have to read through the rule book. Everything just really made sense with how he explained it there. Checked a few things, but I'd say complexity is probably equal to Pandemic, I would say, at least in the rules and really getting a grasp of how things work. Because sure, there's 6 different actions, but 3 of them pretty much work the same. And in each column is also just different, and not even always different, but pretty much the same action, different types of the same exact action, just slight better or worse benefits. So I think it's just a lot simpler than what it looks like, because you look and it's like, oh my god, there's an action on each one of these 36 tiles, but it's really not that overwhelming once you actually get to know it. But yeah, I guess, what did you think?
Yeah, I would agree, because yeah, I thought when you taught it was a pretty quick teach, and I would compare it. I mean, now I've known Pandemic for a while, so it's hard to remember how I felt about learning that one, but I would think they were pretty similar in the complexity and the teach and stuff. Kind of once you know how to do it, like you said. Yeah, probably the setup is just a little bit longer on this one. But then, so then we played our first game. We ended up getting the win. I don't know if any of these, did it recommend any for your first game?
It recommended all of those for the first game.
All these specifically?
There were all so there's all that are there's A, B, C, and D. It said all the A's, and then it picked 4 specific ones to go along with those. So those are all recommended for your first game, as well as one of the characters that we used. Yeah,
I just wasn't sure how difficult the game should be, and I know sometimes games like this, they like to have you. I didn't know that these were specifically picked or not, but I know they typically like to do that for your first game, so that you don't get smacked too hard sometimes, and that you can kind of at least learn the game and still have a chance of winning. But yeah, I felt like it was pretty comparable complexity-wise. I found some of them, it seemed a little more interesting to me than some of the things in Pandemic. I do like Pandemic quite a bit.
Just got a little worker placement.
But yeah, it's got a little bit of a worker placement type feel to it. So I do like that quite a bit, and you get to roll a die for about half the actions. So I like that. I always like when you get to roll the dice. And there's enough ways to mitigate some things as well, which is really nice.
I was worried about the rolling of the dice, of just you get a resource or you don't. But it felt like we had a couple rolls where just like 3 ones in a row.
I think that was right at the beginning too.
But other than that, it's always felt like you were within range and had enough of those resources to actually add pips to the dice, to where it never felt too swingy or decided by the roll of the dice. But yeah, it's just kind of, the whole game is kind of collecting resources to fill out those, and I really love how that can add additional actions that you can take while the board out here is getting limited.
Right.
Because when I was watching how to play, I was like, but then you're just gonna have so few actions. And it's like, oh, you're adding more over there as you get closer to winning. You also have better actions to go that aren't going to get destroyed unless you do draw a misfortune and possibly have to destroy one. Luckily, we didn't have that happen to us. But yeah, I really love that board over there, and just all the things. And I haven't looked at, there's a ton more of those tiles that you can mix in and out. I'm just very excited to explore more of those.
Yeah, I'd be curious if there's more actions on some of them. I think these were pretty good, but they're pretty powerful, I think, some of them, so I'd be interested to see kind of what else they would have. But yeah, I think knowing some of the deck too would help, just based on a few of the cards that came up. Because like it would be good to know like that there's potential that one of these could be destroyed. So maybe you don't just build
I know
one big one right away and then have that get destroyed and then be like, well, that sucked.
Yeah, because I know like the first two we built, I'm not sure how expensive because you guys teamed up to build one, and then I built like a 5 resource one, which that was like the only one that we had built at that time, and that card came out, then that would be pretty devastating.
That would be pretty devastating.
But yeah, in addition to that, for difficulty, there's also like 6 more double, what is it? Controlled flooding. There's like 6 more of those you can do, and you can take out the clear day ones as well for difficulty. So I felt like it was I think it was about perfect difficulty, because we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these tiles, and then 7 with the center left. And when we did it, it just really felt like it was close to getting out of hand, but we had played well and were able to win. I feel like the pacing was really good in this first game.
Yeah, I would 100% agree, and yeah, that's why I was kind of curious on these, and so I guess that kind of gets us to our initial ratings, and I would say I'm coming in at about a 7.5, 7.75. I liked it quite a bit. It's a good, solid cooperative game. I think this is one you could play with a lot of people, very similar to Pandemic.
Yeah, it goes 1 to 7 players, which was crazy.
It's a little surprising. 'Cause I suppose with that, then you're drawing 7 of those cards? Or no?
I think
or
so,
do you take less people that you're putting out there?
I think you'd be drawing 7. I think you're drawing 7. Each player would. Yep.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to see how that would play. But yeah, I look forward to trying this one out some more, because all the variability with these, and kind of just however those cards end up coming out, is really interesting. And then something we didn't really even talk about was all the different player powers that you can do as well.
You even used our kind of promo from that Dice Tower Kickstarter a couple years back.
Yes.
The guy we had mentioned earlier in this video.
Z Garcia. That's what I use. That's why we won. It was all him.
Yep. Yep, that's what it was. But yeah, I'm coming in at an 8.75 for this. I liked it quite a bit. I'm worried for replayability-wise, because it felt like we kind of identified how many resources we would need at the start, and then just kind of spammed. Like, we got the kind of bars, the Antonium, whatever the hell it's called. We kind of got a ton of those early on. We're able to, and then we just kind of forgot about that for the rest of the game and moved on to another resource type thing. So I don't know, replayability wise, if that's going to start to feel samey possibly.
That's true.
But I mean, I guess that could be the same thing with Pandemic, since it's pretty much doing the same thing every game, and I haven't had a problem with that, so I might not have a problem with this either.
Right.
But yeah, I did really, really enjoy just kind of a little bit of push your luck as well of where you want to go on the map. If you want a better action, you can go closer to the shore.
Right.
But at the same time, that's more likely to flood. I really like that.
Yeah, I liked that part quite a bit. Because it was... Sometimes, I mean, you could even be worried if you were 2 away.
Oh, yeah.
Because the action might be the same. For the 2 tiles. So you're like, well, I'll obviously choose to do that one first, because that way if it does flood, I've got a little bit of leeway. But there's still that chance, because the one time we even knew that 2 forests were going to come back to back. And so, I mean, there was a chance that there could have been a third forest that we didn't know was coming out, and it could have still gotten us. So, it's an enjoyable game. I look forward to trying it out some more. I think it'll be interesting to see the combination of these different things and how you can make them work.
Yeah. And definitely check out the unboxing, because the components in this are pretty awesome, I would say.
Yeah,
all the resources. Yeah, the tiles, dual layered board over there. Just very colorful, and I just love how the artwork, as you flip it, it kind of matches up a little bit.
As if it was kind of flooded,
Yeah,
which is
just
cool.
really like the look of the game. Just that board's one of the
Does have a
most
good look.
interesting, just kind of with the shape of it and the flipping the tiles. Probably one of the most interesting game boards I've seen in a while.
It's pretty interesting. I would disagree though with Z Garcia. I know he was pushing on.
Okay.
Who knows when this will be released? It could be a half year later, but they're doing the best board game covers, and I think this one went up against some other game and got knocked out in the first round. And Z was pushing that, oh, this deserves to be making it late in the thing, and I really like the look of the rest of the game, but the cover is average for me.
I like the
It's
cover
not
quite
that
a bit.
bad.
I
I'd
mean,
give it average.
it wouldn't be like a top tier cover for me, but
Right.
I mean, I really like the blue and the orange, obviously, and just kind of the panicky scene of it. I do like when you kind of just really look at it and take it in, but I wouldn't say it's like my standout, like top 10 covers.
Right. But yeah, definitely check out our unboxing video. Otherwise, we hope to see you on that video. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.